Hey YouTube, D's here with part 2 of my tutorial on how to wire an LED into Gundam weapons. So where we are now is trying to decide how to wire in a switch. The main problem or thought process here is that space is going to be a real issue. Also, you want to be able to conceal the switch as much as possible. These are the two switches I typically use. The red one is a one position dip switch. Just you flip it and it turns on. The one I have in my hand now is a momentary switch, so when you press it, it turns on. That was like I think a 5mm switch. They make them in 1.5mm and 7mm. And also there's copper tape, which is what I'm going to be using for this mod. So at this point I have my LED working and ready to be installed. So I'm just doing a lot of playing around just to see what is going to fit where. So I'm starting to put it together, and at this point I'm realizing that I need to put some heat shrink on one of the terminals to shield it so it doesn't short out. Alright, so using actually no, 1/8 inch heat shrink, I just cut off a little bit to cover the terminal. So I just slide it over the terminal, and using a heat gun. Heat gun is optional. You can use just the tip of your soldering iron and that'll shrink it, but I prefer heat gun because it's just quick and easy and it does a much better job. So basically you just turn it on. When you heat it up, it just shrinks down pretty quickly, and what that does is it shields it so that the terminals don't touch each other and short out. You don't need to do the other one because once that one is done, the other one is shielded as well. Alright, for my next step I needed to create a path for the wire to travel through the middle of the barrel. I did this by just drilling with my micro drill, or my pin vise, using a very small drill bit. I had to go back a few times and separate it and just kind of use my hobby knife so I can get a good place to rest the wires. So after some fiddling and wedging and recutting and re-drilling, I was able to finally get enough space. So here's the middle barrel assembled. It was pretty important that all the measurements I took earlier be close because there was not a lot of wiggle room. So once that was together, it was time to move to the front of the barrel. So at this point I shaved off a little of the edges just to make more room, and finishing assembly, just snapping that other half together, and we're almost there. We've got the front part. Now all that's left is the battery and the switch. So the Hyper Bazooka had this natural built-in little switch. It's this shoulder slot piece that slides back and forth. So I don't know how well I could explain this, but I was going to put 2 points so that when I slide it forward, it'll connect the 2 points. I was going to do copper tape in the bottom of the slider. So when you slide it forward, it'll connect the 2 points. It's tough to explain, but it'll work. So just like I had done in the front part, I lined up the wires and picked where they're going to go through to connect to the switch and the battery. And once I had chosen where, I just used my pin vise and a small drill bit and just drilled holes so I can feed the wire through. And this is where the negative or the blue wire is going to pass through. I decided to put the battery into the magazine clip. Alright, and this is going to be where the second point is, so that when you slide it forward, the 2 points will connect. So this is the second point. Alright, so now that the wires are fed through, what I need to do now is snip off some of the wire and strip off the shielding. Then I just filled it with solder and then turned it 90 degrees. And I ran out of batteries, but there it is, turned 90 degrees. And then I did it again with another separate wire, so that there are 2 wires parallel pretty close together. And then with the slider on the bottom of it, I added copper tape, so that when you slide it forward, it's going to touch both of those 2 points and complete the circuit. And in 1 second, I'll show you how to, or how I did the batteries, or the battery. To hook up the battery, first you pre-tin the ends of the wire, which means just filling the tips with some solder. Then add some big globs of solder onto some copper tape. Well, not too big, but big enough. Then you're just going to solder those 2 wires. Pre-tinning it helps stick. And then you just cut around the copper tape so that it'll fit on the battery. On the negative side, be especially careful to cut it small so that it doesn't fold over the edges and touch the positive side of the battery, because that'll short out the battery. Okay, now that we have the battery in place, it's time to do the final assembly. So how I did it was I just put the slider in, and using some tweezers, I just made sure those 2 connection points were in the right place. At this point, I was thinking it was going to be pretty finicky and not really work, but it ended up working. So the trade-off here is that I can no longer disassemble the bazooka and put it into the EX-8's backpack, but I'm okay with that. So to reassemble it, I had to do the magazine first, because I can't pull it out anymore. So once I've got the magazine secured, battery in place, I admit I didn't do a great job choosing where to put those holes for the wires, because right now the wires are just kind of wedged in there. So I should have done that a little better, but no worries. So just need to readjust the wires a little bit. And last thing to do is put the last 2 pieces on, and we'll be finished. Yeah, at this point I was getting kind of nervous and thinking that it was going to be pretty finicky, but once I got all the wires in the correct places and the other piece on, it ended up working pretty well. So, alright, and you just slide it forward and it turns on. Feels secure and no problems. I did have that front handle on upside down, but that just pops off, and so no big deal. So after a couple hours of work, my Hyper Bazooka is finished. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for some more tutorials on LED mods on my Gundams. I'm working on a bunch of other things, so give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and recommend me. I'm just starting, so I could use some subscribers. And this is D saying, see you later.